Hello everyone, it's Mikhail and welcome to my new tutorial. This time I'm gonna shed some lights on technique, actually which I already shared with you a few years ago, but this time we got new Cinema 4D with a bunch of new modifiers based on scene nodes, and I want to share with you updated technique, how to create some kind of artificial plant for your scene, and how to use Cinema 4D capsules for that, and MoGraph as well. So if you're up for it, let's get started. Okay guys, let's give it a shot. To begin with, I already created the scene, prepared it beforehand. So here is we just get a segment. Let me actually get rid of segment, press Shift C and type here segment. I already type it. Let's grab it here and select my segment, go to the object and let me change offset to 50%, and maybe we have to increase amount of points just to get more points for upcoming plant. Let's say 32, and switch our plane from XY to XZ. So we got this one. Yeah, okay. So I'm already shared similar technique a few years ago when we used more spline and MoGraph stuff. In this case, we will use similar technique, but as we currently in Cinema 4D are 2025.2, we have a bunch of new improvements such as new capsules, especially from Rocket Lasso. Thank you, Chris Schmidt, for perfect capsules, which helps us a lot. And a lot of capsules you can find here, like default modifiers, and there are a bunch of new modifiers, especially if we're talking about the splines, but we have to focus on branch spline modifier because we want to create branches. So just grab it and place it as a child in our segment, because all the modifiers in Cinema 4D are placed as a child. So by default we got this one, something reminds us a plant, or I don't know, or tree maybe, and we have to a bit readjust it, some of the parameters. Let me just grab more space for my attributes, and let's start from count. By default it's just 10, I would prefer switch by 50. Okay, we got more count of our branches. Let me keep branch minimum 2, branch maximum, let's say 4. Okay. I don't want to touch spread because it's just a spreading a bit different, you know. I'm already know some of the parameters which I got when I experimenting with this, you know. So let's move to the placement. In placement we have to change maybe start just to 5%, maybe a bit move our plant like that just to see something like that. Okay, so and let's say and equals 100 and variation as well 100 as well. Yeah, so let's go to the branch properties. By default we use absolute mode. That's okay. Let me change total length because it's pretty long, you know, branches. Let's say 40. Yeah, 40 looks promising here. Maybe change length variation as well. Let's say 100. Okay, just to get different heights of each branch. And start and length, I think maybe some sort of maybe 80% would be enough. So we got some kind of basement for our tree. Okay, let's move forward. If we go to the initial direction, by default we got 30%. Yeah, let's change roll per step. I would say maybe something about 7%, just to get a bit, sorry, let me, yeah, just to get a bit more interesting variation, you know, like this. Okay, roll offset, I don't know, we can switch it to 130 or something, you know, it's up to you. We just get some kind of roll. Let me say 130, and sorry, not this one, this 130, and roll variation, I don't know, maybe just 140. So we got this shape, and we are ready to move to next step, create interesting animation. So actually it will be one tutorial when I share with you basic technique how to apply dynamics to your segment, how to control it by fields and homograph. And next step, it will be some kind of breakdown how I create this scene, and I will share with you how use C4D assets from asset browser. Especially in this case, we already have this pot. This I'm just grab from models, plants, and potted plants, and just grab this one, get rid of plants itself, and just keep this one. Yeah. So I highly recommend you use Cinema 4D assets in your concept art in your commercial project, because it saves a lot of time, yeah, and you can achieve pretty nice result. So long story short, we have to switch to the next thing we have to create here, and for this I want to create more spline. Of course I want to create more spline because I want to operate some sort of homograph stuff, and this time I want to use my original segment spline. Let's call it base, okay, and I want to use my base as a source for my spline. Let's call it plant, okay. And if we go to the simple object, sorry, and switch to the spline, we can use in a spline our source spline like that. Let me hide it. Okay, so we got this one. Maybe we move it to too high if we're talking about our source spline. Yeah, and let me go to the plant. First thing first, I want to go to the object and switch from full shape to the line, just to get similar line like we created before. Actually, let me show you the camera. My camera is just focal length 200 degrees. If you're talking about coordinates, I'm rotated it in 180 degrees here, and change position by Y and position by Z. So let me deactivate my camera, just switch here, check, sorry, something wrong, yeah. So let me check if everything is okay. Where is my, okay, something definitely wrong with my plant. Let me get rid of this. Okay, select my original one. Okay, move it maybe like that, just up a bit. Okay, and let me create one more spline. Okay, plant, sorry, plant. Okay, move it here, hide this one, select my plant, go to the object, switch to the spline again. Let me check. Yeah, now it looks correct. Okay, so what next? As we operate with more spline right now, we can apply Cinema 4D forces without any rope dynamics in this case. So let me show you how it works. For instance, let me create just a simple force turbulence, and we already got something, you know, like that. Maybe it's a bit noisy, that because we don't have proper scale here. Let me increase by, I don't know, 20, okay, and we got something like that. But one of the crucial thing, it's not good for this setup because our trunk, because if we're talking about original spline, you know, we have a trunk here, like a base, you know, and most of our branches just use trunk as a base. So, and in case we use turbulence plus more spline, we got this issue when our trunk try to move like I don't know, like a plant, like a flower or something. And but it's not big deal. We can fix it because we can operate with our turbulence, and we can use the fields. So in case you want to get rid of this one, let me show you increase maybe strength. So we got something like that, you know, some of our branches moving, but trunk just go bananas, I would say. I would prefer restrict this effect here. So for that, I just want to use base as a field for my turbulence in spline mode. And in spline mode, I want to switch from along to the radius and just create radius equals 1. Let me check how it works. Right now, it works not correct because I want to invert this effect here. Let me invert it. And let me check, only branch is moving right now. So for me, it's a good solution, you know. Maybe we have to a bit readjust our branches. I'm not sure if we create everything proper like that. Let me check. As you see, it's pretty nice to control, yeah. Maybe play around with it, like let's say angle offset equals 50%. Okay, let me play it, and we got animated plant, yeah. But in my original teaser, you know, I create some kind of interesting animation when our plants some kind of rise, you know, rise and shine, I would say. So as we operate with Smograph spline, we can apply any other forces, I mean native C4D forces. So let me create just a gravity force, and we got this one. Take a glance. We got pretty interesting result when our splines just respect the gravity, I would say. So we can play around with gravity as well, but before we have to go to the base and maybe increase amount of points, let's say 64 or 200, 188, 128, like this. In just the base, let me switch by 32 and go to the branches. And maybe we have to, yeah, by default we have steps like this, you know. I think we need to increase steps by 24 just to get more precise, you know, result for each branch. Yeah, take a glance. We got more precise result, but it's a bit slower than before. Actually, not slow, yeah. Yeah, and we still have wrist turbulence. We can play around with it like this, or maybe like this. Never mind, okay? So let me deactivate turbulence for now, and we got just gravity. But I want to create some kind of rise effect, I would say. Use fields. Let me go to the fields and create random field. I want to keep parameters by default, just increase maybe scale by 200, okay? As you see, it's immediately changed the shape of our plant. Let me create curve. Let me create some kind of interesting curve here, and I think you already got the idea how we can control it, like that. Take a glance, yeah? So maybe in the beginning we have this curve. Let me create shape. I would prefer avoid offset, because when we use the curve we can control several frames, you know how it looks. I would say it's more controllable for me, but it's up to you. You can just use this one, you know, like animation slider. Let me move to the 100 frame, maybe move it back. As you see, we got interesting results, but it's not raw dynamics, it's just a Smograph. Let me create one frame and let me check. We got pretty nice results, right? Maybe we have to play around with branch modifier again. Maybe just change noise frequency by 2. And maybe speaking of the steps, maybe speaking of the total angle, sorry. I don't know. Let me check. Maybe just play around with total angle, create, let's say 20. Yeah, let me check one more time. Yeah, we got something interesting here. Take a glance. Pretty nice. Let me activate turbulence as well. So we got some kind of this one. Maybe it's not good when turbulence starting from the first frame. I would prefer go to the turbulence, change scale by 20 maybe. Let me check how it works. It works good. Okay, and let's just create a few keyframes for turbulence. maybe when it starts rising in 50 frame, I would say we have strength equals 0, and in 100 frame we have strength equals, let's say, 10. Not too much. Okay, let me check it one more time. So we got this one. So we got just get based, animation for our upcoming, I would say, plant. But it's still absolutely procedural. We can increase amount of branches here or decrease amount of branches and get this one, or get just a lot of branches. We can play around with branches, man and mix, like this. Yeah, playing with spread, and everything what you want, like this or this. So it's up to you how to play around with it. You can modify your plant, I would say modify your based plant structure. Yeah, so what next? The next step, I want to grab this base, okay, called it branch, sorry, okay, and let me just activate it, okay, hide my mouse spline. I want to go to the branch and increase count of 100, maybe 200. Yeah, 200 looks good. And I want to just current state to object. You can keep it like a procedural, but just for tutorial I want to use it as a static object. So let me check. Yep, not bad. Yeah, I have this branch, and I want to use it as an instance for my cloner. Let me create cloner. Okay, move it here after my plant, switch to multi-instance, switch mode to the object, and place my branch inside cloner. So let me activate my plant. Okay, and let me use this multiplier plant as the object, as a source for my cloner. So we got something weird. Let me select my branch, just use model tool here, model mode here, press T to activate scale, and just to scale it down like this, maybe. Let me go to the cloner and change amount from 10 just by 2, deactivate loop because we don't need a loop, and maybe go to the transform and change rotation with P rotation by minus 90 degree, I think. Yeah, and take a glance. So we got something interesting, just a plant with some interesting shapes here. It's up to you what kind of shape use here, but in my particular case I would prefer to increase it a bit. Let me go to the cloner, go to the object, maybe change start like that. Okay, just to keep more space for here, and we got pretty interesting result. Okay, what next? Let me select my cloner and create plane effector, place it here. Let's call it growth. Okay, go to the parameters, get rid of position, activate scale, absolute scale, uniform. Let's make it -1. Okay, and I want to use for the field here let's say my plant. Okay, get rid of color for now and switch from per segment to whole spline in distance mode, and we can play around with it like that. Okay, and maybe just change a bit offset here. So before we continue, we have to get rid of this guy. I don't know why, some kind of bug, but we can get rid of this because we operate with Morph. Let me just select this cloner, go to the MoGraph menu, select MoGraph selection, select it. I'm sorry, just maybe just change camera. Okay, move here. Okay, select only this guy, go to the MoGraph and choose hide selected. So let me switch to the camera. Okay, and I want to go to my growth plane effector like this, and I want to create a few keyframes when it start rising. Let's start from 30 keyframe, create keyframe here, move it by 120 maybe, move like that. Okay, and also create some kind of this one. Let's say -40. Okay, move back to frame 50 maybe, and let's say 3, I don't know. Yeah, and if right now I press play, we got, I think, pretty interesting result, right? So it's not it for this tutorial. I think we can play around with actually keyframes here. Let me go to the my growth effect, select both, right click, show tracks, and we can just move it back a bit like that, start a bit earlier just to get interesting result here like this. Okay, and maybe add some randomness here, just to create a random field in overlay mode, switch from noise to random. Okay, let me check. Yeah, at a glance we got more randomness. Okay, looks promising, and let me just create delay field, increase by 60% just to make it more smoother. Yeah, at a glance, pretty nice, right? So this is the general technique how to achieve this result, I think you got an idea. You can play around with your turbulence and everything. You can play around with your original shape. I hope you like it. Let me check if everything is okay. In my case, looks good. In some cases, when we're working with splines, Cinema4D still has some, I would say, issues with spline rails. And sometimes when some of your clones just switching direction, in few frames, that's annoying. Especially in my original render, you can recognize it, you can see it, and I found a solution. You can select the cloner, go to the MoGraph and choose, for instance, where is it? Target field, target effector. Okay, and in target effector we can just move it up, or like this, for instance, and in this case I think we got more precise result. Maybe we have to play around with look itself, but it helps if your clones are rotating, around or something like that. In our particular case, let's keep it for now like this. Okay, make sure if you use growth plus some of the delay or something, you have to bake it as the MoGraph cache like this, MoGraph text, MoGraph cache, just to bake it, before start rendering, or network rendering, for instance, or render farm. And this is the general technique. And in case you want to get some randomness for that, you can select your cloner, create just additional plane effector, call that R&D size, for instance. Okay, place it here, go to the parameters, deactivate position, activate scale again, let's say -0.2 or maybe 0.2 positive. Okay, create random in the random mode, and again create curve just to clamp it a bit, just to create maybe more interesting result, more random results. So, and same thing, you can just drag and drop it, call it color, select this color, go to the get rid of curve and deactivate value, activate color, and apply it for your cloner as well here. So let me show you. Yeah, we got a random data for your clones. You can remap that in Redshift if you want to control it more interesting. So I think that's pretty much it. Maybe just one more thing. Let me create just a random effector, get rid of position, activate rotation. Let me find proper rotation for that. Maybe like this and maybe like this. Go to the effector, switch from random mode to noise, and maybe just 10% of scale. Let me check. It just add more, I think, bring more life to your scene. Try to experimenting with it. So I think that's it, and don't hesitate to play around with forces, with a tractor force or something. You can create a tractor and take a glance how it works. Okay, you can create some kind of spherical field here for your tractor and play around with it. So, but for this case, I think that's it. I hope you like it. If you have any questions, feel free to ask me in the comment below. And let's see on the next part when I just try to dive into my original project file to explore it like a breakdown, show you some tips and tricks how to use C4D capsules and how to achieve interesting looking scene. I hope this pretty much it for this time. Thank you for your time, guys. See you very soon. Bye bye.